Hello my dear students, welcome to CMIS online classes. In today's class, in this video, for the students of standard 9, we'll continue with the same chapter, the tenses. And in today's class, we will study and understand the another classification of the tenses, that is the perfect continuous tenses. In our previous videos on the same chapter, the tenses, we have already completed the simple tenses, the continuous tenses, as well as the perfect tenses. And in our today's class, in this particular video, we will study and understand the another classification of the tenses, that is the perfect continuous tenses. At first, we will see what is the sentence structure when we write the sentences in the perfect continuous tenses as a whole. तो आज हम ये समझेंगे कि perfect continuous tenses का affirmative sentence structures क्या है, okay, as a whole. Okay, because if we go in detail with the perfect continuous tenses, we see that as a whole, when we understand the perfect continuous tenses, the perfect continuous tenses are again and further divided and classified into three other major tenses according to the time reference of the actions. Like the perfect continuous tenses are further classified into present perfect continuous tense, past perfect continuous tense, and future perfect continuous tense. And in this particular video, we will understand in detail, we will learn about the present perfect continuous tense. But before this, we will see that as a whole, the perfect continuous tenses, what is the affirmative structure of sentences in the perfect continuous tenses. Then after, we will go in detail about the present perfect continuous tense, the past perfect continuous tense, and the future perfect continuous tense. But at first, we will understand the structure of sentences in affirmative form in the perfect continuous tenses as a whole. So in the perfect continuous tenses, we understand here the tense is perfect also and continuous also. Okay, perfect and continuous both. Because in our previous videos, we have understood the perfect tenses separately and the continuous tenses separately. But here we are learning about the tense which is both perfect and continuous. Okay, as we know that perfect tenses use B3 form of the verbs, past participle form of the verbs with the helping verbs to have. And in continuous tenses, we also understood that in continuous tenses we use B4 form of the verbs, present participle form of the verbs with the helping verbs, the group of to be verbs. Okay, but here if the tense is both perfect and continuous, how do we meet the requirement of both to have verbs plus B3 and to be verbs plus B4? Here we have to understand. Okay, so here we are taking the structure of sentences in affirmative form in the perfect continuous tenses as a whole, because at first we need to understand the structure of sentences in affirmative form. After that, when we understand the correct use of verb forms in the perfect continuous tenses in affirmative forms, then after it becomes easier for us to transform those structures into other forms of sentences like negative and interrogative. Interrogative sentences, both negative and positive. Okay, because they follow some processes that we need to be careful about when we learn about the structure of sentences in affirmative form. At first, it is important to know the structure of sentences in affirmative forms. Okay, so let us see what is the structure of affirmative sentences in the perfect continuous tenses as a whole. See, I have told you that perfect and continuous, both the tenses are here. Okay, now see here, subject is there, subject plus to have verbs. To have verbs we take because the verb is perfect, because perfect tenses are found by using to have verbs as the helping verbs. Okay, after that, okay, to have verbs are used as the main helping verbs here. Okay, after that, when we use to have verbs, after that we have to use to be after that we have to use B3 form of the verbs. Okay, past participle form of the verbs. So here we have taken been. Why we have taken been here? Been is the B3 form of the verbs to be. From the group of to be verbs, been is the B3 form of the verb from the group of to be verbs. So why we have used been here? Because we have used before here, present participle form of the verb. When we use before form of the verbs, before we have to use be verbs. So here, when we use been here the been has fulfilled our two requirements. One is the use of B3 verbs after to have verbs, and another is the use of to be verbs before the present participle form of the verbs, that is before. Okay, that means subject plus to have verbs plus been plus before plus rest of the sentence is the structure of affirmative sentences in the perfect continuous tenses. Okay, as a whole, the perfect continuous tenses in their affirmative form of sentences. But when we go particularly with the present perfect continuous tense, the past perfect continuous tense, the future perfect continuous tense, now here we have to understand which to have verbs should we use or do we use in each classification of the perfect continuous tenses. And in this video we will focus mainly on the present perfect continuous tense and what kind of actions are expressed in the present perfect continuous tense. Okay, we will understand the sentence structures in the present perfect continuous tense. All sentence structures like affirmative, negative and interrogative, both positive and negative, and how to transform affirmative sentences in the present perfect continuous tense into negative and interrogative. Okay, and we will also understand the kinds of actions that are expressed in the present perfect continuous tense. So let us go in detail with the explanation of the present perfect continuous tense. So students, be careful and listen very carefully whenever I am explaining the present perfect continuous tense. Okay, when you see that I have already explained you the structure of affirmative sentences in the perfect continuous tenses as a whole, but now we are going in detail with the present perfect continuous tense. So here we have to understand particularly which to have verbs are used in the present perfect continuous tense. Okay, now here if you see, at first we will understand the sentence structures and then we will understand the uses and the kinds of actions that are expressed in the present perfect continuous tense. Okay, like here the sentence structures in affirmative form in the present perfect continuous tense is subject, we already have subject, plus has or have. From the group of to have verbs we take has or have in the present perfect continuous tense. Has is used if the subject is singular and have is used if the subject is plural. Okay, after that we take B3 form of the to be verbs been, after that present participle form of the verbs before, and then the rest of the sentence. So this is the complete sentence structure in affirmative form in the present perfect continuous tense. So what is the affirmative structure of sentences in the present perfect continuous tense? That is subject plus has or have plus been plus before plus rest of the sentence. Okay students, this is the affirmative structure of sentences in the present perfect continuous tense. Okay, later on in this video we will understand, we will learn, we will practice how to transform these affirmative structures of sentences in the present perfect continuous tense into the negative form, the interrogative forms both negative and positive. Okay, so but before that we will understand in detail about what kind of actions are expressed in the present perfect continuous tense, what are the uses of the present perfect continuous tense in English grammar. Okay, so let us have a look here. I have already written a note also here that may be very much helpful for you all to understand the present perfect continuous tense. So at first we will see here, the present perfect continuous tense is used to refer an action that began at the certain period of time in the past but is still continuing at present. So mainly whenever we talk about the actions in the present perfect continuous tense, we talk about the action that began at the certain period of time in the past but is still continuing at present. So प्रेजेंट परफेक्ट कंटिन्यूस टेंस में हम किस तरीके का एक्शन को बयां करते हैं? वो एक्शन जो बीता हुआ समय में, किसी समय में शुरू हुआ हो. ओके, इट स्टार्टेड इन द पास्ट बट स्टिल कंटिन्यूइंग एट प्रेजेंट एट द टाइम ऑफ स्पीकिंग. ओके ओके, सो हियर वी विल अंडरस्टैंड what the uses of the present perfect continuous tense. So let us understand the uses of the present perfect continuous tense. The present perfect continuous tense is used for what? Used to talk about actions which began in the past and continue up to the time of speaking. So जिस समय हम उस काम के बारे में बयां करते हैं, प्रेजेंट परफेक्ट कंटिन्यूस टेंस में हम इस तरीके का कामों को बयां करते हैं जो बीता हुआ समय में, किसी भी समय में शुरू हुआ हो, लेकिन जिस समय हम बोल रहे हैं उस समय क्या हुआ हो, वो काम कंटिन्यू हो रहा हो. लाइक सी हियर एग्जाम्पल नंबर 1, he has been watching TV since morning. So that means at the present time it is not the morning time. Okay, morning has been gone, so this time it may be the afternoon time. Okay, and the action of watching TV was started in the morning. Maybe it is still continuing in the afternoon also. Okay, like he has been watching TV since morning, so his action of watching TV started in the morning. Maybe it is at the present it is the afternoon time and still he is watching TV. Okay, so I have been teaching my students for 2 hours. So the action of teaching my students was started before 2 hours in the past 2 hours, but still it is continuing. Okay, so I hope you have understood. Now the next action that is expressed with the help of the present perfect continuous tense is to talk about the past actions of certain duration with visible results in the present. So वो काम जो बीता हुआ समय में, पास्ट में हुआ हो, लेकिन उसका रिजल्ट अभी प्रेजेंट में देखने को मिल रहा हो. Okay, the actions that occurred in the past but its influence, its results can be seen in the present. For example, he has been walking in the rain. That is why he has got a cold. That means he has been walking in the rain. he started walking in the rain in the past, but still he is walking. Okay, that is why he has got a cold. इसीलिए उसे जुकाम हो गया है, क्योंकि वो बराबर क्या कर रहे हैं, बारिश में काम कर रहे हैं. Understood? Now next is he has been ignoring his studies for some time now. So that means what is the result of his ignorance towards his studies? He has not done well in the tests. Okay, so the past actions, the results of which can be visible in the present. I hope you have understood. Now the next action to express in the present perfect continuous tense is to express anger or annoyance. When you are angry and when you feel annoyed, at that time also, whenever you express your feeling, that feeling is expressed in the present perfect continuous tense. For example, someone has been ringing the doorbell. That means continuously it is started in the past also, at present also, that someone is ringing the doorbell. But the main thing here, what we have to understand in the present perfect continuous tense is the action that started in the past and continuing up to the present. Okay, now next is Rita has been trying to wake me up since the minute I fell asleep. That means it started since the minute. Though it is a minute past, but it started in the past. Okay, and still the action of waking up is continuing up to the present time. Okay, understood? So now I hope you have understood the uses of the present perfect continuous tense. Now we will move ahead with the structure of sentences in different forms in affirmative in the present perfect continuous tense. So we will see at first the structure of affirmative sentences, which I have already told you also. Now here we will have a look over it again. Okay, so subject plus has or have. I told you that has is used if the subject is plural, and have is used if the subject is has is used if the subject is singular with the singular subject, and have is used if the subject is plural. Okay, after that been plus before plus rest of the sentence. Like I have taken the same example from the examples I have given in the uses of the present perfect continuous tense. So here, he has been watching TV since morning. Subject plus has plus been plus before plus rest of the sentence. Subject is he here, so that is why it is singular. We have used has. Okay, understood? Now negative sentences. Negative sentences means I have already told you that negative sentences are those sentences having no or not in them. Okay, so here we will use not after the main helping verb have and before the B3 form of the to be verbs been. Okay, like subject plus has or have plus not plus been plus before plus rest of the sentence is the negative. Is the structure of negative sentences in the present perfect continuous tense. Like he has not been watching TV since morning. He has not been watching TV since morning. This is the negative sentence in the present perfect continuous tense. Okay. Now the structure of interrogative sentences, positive interrogative sentences. So interrogative sentences, I have told you that here we are learning to frame interrogative sentences by using the helping verbs. So what is the main helping verb here? Has or have. We have two main helping verbs here, has or have. Okay, so when we make interrogative sentences by using helping verbs are used at the beginning of the sentences and the subject comes after the helping verbs. Okay, so has or have are the helping verbs used in the present perfect continuous tense. So here we will use has or have before the subject, and subject comes after the helping verbs has or have. Okay, after that has or have plus subject plus been plus before plus rest of the sentence is the structure of interrogative sentences in positive form in the present perfect continuous tense. Like has he been watching TV since morning? Question mark. This is the positive interrogative sentence in the present perfect continuous tense. Now let us see the structure of sentences in negative interrogative form in the present perfect continuous tense. So again, negative means having no or not. So here, like the positive interrogative sentences, the same structure we have to follow here. Only what we have to do is we have to put not before the V3 form of the to be verbs and after the subject. Like has or have plus subject plus not plus been plus before plus rest of the sentence is the structure of negative interrogative sentences in the present perfect continuous tense. Like for example, has he not been watching TV since morning? Okay, so this is the structure. This is the negative interrogative sentence in the present perfect continuous tense. I hope my students have understood the explanation of the present perfect continuous tense, its uses, its structures in different forms of sentences like affirmative, negative, and positive and negative interrogative sentences. So I hope this video has been so much helpful for you to understand the present perfect continuous tense. So this much for today's videos, my dear students. In our next video on the same chapter, we will understand about the past perfect continuous tense. Okay? So this much for today's class. Thank you so much, students, for being the part of my today's class. Thank you so much. If you have any doubts, kindly raise your doubts during the class period and clear your concept. Okay, students? Thank you so much.